Would you kindly call the roll?
Smith Charles will be here shortly. Wiper.
I'm here.
Markham. Here. Miller. Absent with notice. Robin.
Present.
Long.
Here.
Spiz is absent with notice. Johnson.
Present.
You got quorum.
Thank you very much. Would everyone kindly join me in the Pledge of Allegiance today?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes dated June 5th, 2024. Moved by Commissioner Markham, seconded by Commissioner Long. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Minutes have been approved. I would entertain a motion to approve today's agenda. As a note, it is correct on your screens, not on the paper. And we're moved by Commissioner Rahman, seconded by Commissioner Whitebird. All in favor of approving today's agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The agenda's been approved. Thanks so much. Anyone from the public wishing to address us on anything on today's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move right along then. I would entertain a motion to receive and file communications A through G without exception. Moved by Commissioner Long, seconded by Commissioner Rahman. Can I voice vote that one?
You can.
Yeah.
All in favor of approving the communications, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. They have been approved. Thank you all, everyone.
You weren't here.
See you later.
Eli, thank you so much for all of your work.
Yes, Thank you. Thank you for showing up.
I would,
It's like giddy.
Yolanda told me to get hustling, so here we go. I would also entertain a motion to, what am I doing, to recommend to the board? We only have the one item. That's kind of funky though. All right.
Consent, yeah.
Well, it's a one item agenda, so I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board consent agenda item A, FY24 appropriation to the city of Troy for Tri-Party Road Improvement Program Project 57091, moved by Commissioner Rahman, seconded by Commissioner Markham. Mr. Clerk, would you please prompt the vote on that one? No?
All right, let's start. Long.
Yes.
Wiper.
Yes.
I'll refresh after you're done.
Yes.
Rahman.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Now wait till he's done and then refresh again.
You have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Try to
That
refresh
item
now,
has
you
been
guys.
recommended.
That's when it works.
Moving on then to our regular agenda, we have item A, new A, everyone's refreshed, which is Aviation and Transportation, MDOT grant acceptance for partial reimbursement number 1 to acquire land for OCIA approaches, runway 27L. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board, moved by Commissioners Long and seconded by Commissioner Whitebird. Hi,
Good morning.
how are you?
Great, thank you.
What do you want to tell us today?
Well, this is reimbursement for an acquisition of a home and our approach at Oakland County International Airport. The acquisition occurred actually in 2019, and the grant funding is just coming through. This is the first phase of the reimbursement. The total amount was $258,310, and this grant is $95,283 through our normal course with MDOT as a block grant state.
Some questions, comments?
We're on the airport committee.
Just got there, yeah.
We just had airport committee meeting,
Yeah.
so 4 of us
We
were
just-
just
Well, all
there.
right then. I don't have any questions.
Good, see? You're gonna be really speedy.
I love this. The motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll if that's faster or what?
We should still do.
Oh, I got it.
Well, then
We
work that
collect
time.
data.
Mine came up, if everyone refresh
Yeah, mine
after he
did
does the vote, if you refresh, it works. I'm figuring it out finally.
Right.
If you refresh during when he's trying to do it, it
You
doesn't
have
work.
5 yeas and 0 nays.
Got that too.
Zero nays, that item passes.
Figuring it
Thank you
out.
very much. I would also entertain a motion to recommend to the board. Item B, Veteran Services Grant Application with the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency for FY25 County Veteran Service Fund. Moved by Commissioner Rahman, seconded by Commissioner Markham. Excuse me, hi, gents.
This is a request to approve an application to the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency for the fiscal year 25 County Veterans Service Fund grant. Last year's grant amount was $505,019. This year's amount is $530,893. Tyrone Jordan, our grant administrator, is here. Add any additional information?
we did hear you last time and we cut 40,000 from the marketing budget. And we're actually putting into promotional items and other things. In addition to that, instead of having 7,000 round trip rides for veterans, we're gonna have 12,500.
Wow.
And hopefully that will start October 1st. So.
I love that.
Great.
Any questions,
Yeah.
comments?
Right?
No?
Good thing.
All right, being easy. All right, well, thank you all very much. Motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Mr. Clerk, would you kindly prompt the vote? Hello.
Some veterans resources have popped up.
Oh yeah, be sure to refresh.
A refresh, and you might.
5 yeas and 0 nays.
Thank you very much. That passes and, all right, cool. Thanks, everyone. Moving on, then I would entertain a motion to proceed to item C and what am I doing? Recommending to the board? Oh, for recommending to finance. Item C, authorizing the issuance of bonds to finance improvements in Southwest Oakland Water System in Oakland Township. Moved by Commissioner Long, and I'll second that one because that's kind of near me. Okay. Hello, folks. Okay, good morning, Bob. Good morning. Floor is all yours.
We're here for the, I'm Ben Lewis, I'm Assistant Chief Engineer at Oakland County.
I'm Joel Brown, I'm Chief Engineer of the Construction Projects Unit, the WRC. And with us, we have Eric McLaughlin, who you're familiar with, I believe, as well, from Dixons and Wright. And we also have Steve Burke with MFCI, who's our financial advisor.
Awesome.
And I believe our engineer, Mike Walsh, is also on the line as
Yeah.
well. So if there's project-related questions specific to this request, we can help answer those as well.
Okay. All right, we're requesting the authorization for issuance of bonds for a project in Oakland Township, a 1 million gallons water storage tank, which is mandated by the state of Michigan. We've been working on it for quite some time. We're at the stage now where we're getting ready to go to construction, estimating the total project cost to be around 15 million based on how the bids come in. We've been fortunate lately, some bids have been coming in good, which they weren't in the past, but things seem to be loosening up a little bit.
Awesome. Questions?
What's the timeline on this,
Thank you.
on the whole, what do you think this, from today to completion?
So they we're expecting to go out for bids sometime in the late fall, I believe. And then the project is probably an 18-month project, so we're shooting for completion in 2026. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Mike, but I believe that's our target for completion is 2026. And this project will enhance the pressure deficiencies in this region, again, as requested by Eagle. This will improve. And we did, if you recall, Norwood Pines project, which basically was a similar project to do the same thing, so.
I was just gonna say, my parents actually live in Norwood Pines, so I watched that one. But where is this one specifically?
So the exact location, Mike, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, it's at, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's at 3445 Fern Road.
Oh, okay, yeah, that is way over there. All right, cool. Commissioner Redmond, I saw your hand.
Yeah, thank you. Just confirming, the bond is 30-year, is that correct? 30-year bond? I just wanted to confirm the terms of the bond, and then the rate, I thought I saw 7%,
I
but
think that was a maximum of 7.
maximum 7. So I just wanted, I didn't know if you had those details, I didn't readily see them. I've got section 5 bond details, and it says, rates not exceeding 7% per annum.
28.
Yes, that's typical language. Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but typical language has a maximum value, and I think we're set at 30 at the moment, correct? Steve?
That's correct. The resolution is drafted as a parameters resolution. So it says the out boundaries within which the bonds can be issued. 7% is a maximum interest rate. And that number was included in consultation with the financial advisor for this project.
Just out of curiosity, what is the current rate? I know it's set as kind of these guardrails, but I'm just For my own edification, I guess.
Steve, you wanna chime in on that?
Yeah, so if we sold these bonds today, we would expect something around 4.25%, as the interest rate on these. These Oakland Township projects are unique because there is a low number of ratepayers that are associated with them. So in this case, there's approximately 2,100 ratepayers. The township has asked for a not to exceed of 30 years. That final decision hasn't been made yet. If the project comes in at a lower price, we would expect them to maybe go less number of years. But right now, with 2,100 ratepayers, it's approximately $400 per year per ratepayer on average.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Motion on the table is to recommend to finance. Mr. Clerk, would you kindly prompt the vote?
Robin?
Yes.
And Miller.
Yes.
We have 68 zero nays.
Thank you all very much. And you all are gonna stay comfy for a little bit. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board, not finance, the board. Item, what are we on, D now? Contract with the Village of Lake Orion for sanitary sewer improvements, moved by Commissioner Long, seconded by Commissioner Miller. Hold on.
No, we put their hand up.
Your draft.
I did too.
A little hand.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mine too, cause he was looking around, no one's saying, I know.
These two were tossed up. We're on B now, but it's D, so
Tossed up.
tossed up.
Got it. Good morning, everyone. We can continue right where you were leaving off from.
We're talking about the B item, the
yeah.
Lake Orion one.
This is for the Village of Lake Orion. We're requesting approval of the 342 contract to enter in with the county and the village to construct the project. The village has decided to finance it themselves, so we won't be requesting any bonds. They're going to use what they believe is a combination of bonds and grants in order to fund this. We're looking at refurbishing or 16 lift stations in the village, new force main under the lake. The lift stations were installed 1972-ish, and through the SAW grant program, the village sewer system was evaluated and found in dire need of replacement or upgrading of all of their facilities. Found our people were trying to get parts on eBay and using baling wire and Band-Aids, and we can't continue that way. We need to avert any future problems. So we're estimating the total project cost to be $9,100,000, and hopefully the grants will come in for this township or city as the village as they wish. And now we could take any questions you have.
Great. I don't see any on my screen, but I do see a hand raised, Mr. Wyfer.
Thank you. When you're redoing lift stations, I mean, the lift station is critical. You need it all called all the time, or, right? So when you're redoing an entire one, do you have a backup, or do you rely on the other 15?
We'll provide, since these are spread out so far
Yeah.
and they service, say, a relatively small area, we'll provide a bypass system while we're doing the work.
Okay. That's interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? This is item 9D. Then we can go ahead and prompt the vote.
Johnson?
Yes.
I've been going.
Long?
Yes.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
I tell you, when you go investigate something, it goes away. It's true. So ridiculous. Looking at something, looking up something.
Some of us like to do research.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank
They
you.
don't want us
Motion
to, I
carries.
guess.
Thank you.
Educated before you
That takes
vote,
us to
Yes.
9E.
I just want to look up something quick.
I will entertain a motion to recommend to the board notice of intent to issue bonds for improvements to the Clinton Oakland sewage disposal system in the city of Pontiac. Moved by Johnson, supported by Miller. Thank you.
I just have one other engineer online, Scott Schultz. our office as well in case there's any project specific questions too that I can answer.
Thank you for mentioning that. And you can give us a high level, just for the record.
Absolutely.
Okay, just to start off with, in the item summary sheet, notice there was a typo. We are requesting $100 million and the political analysis says 1 million. However, the resolutions are all correct with the correct amount, so I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
So 1 million's not gonna go very far.
Difference. Big difference.
1 million won't fix anything.
Okay, thank you.
Got some zeros.
And pretty much in line with other intents to issue bonds.
Yeah, so this is basically to repair the interceptor as a whole. We're gonna phase this project. It needs to be phased just by the nature of the preparatory work that needs to happen. We have to install grade protection stations ahead of time to make sure that we don't have any basement backups when we do the lining work. There's also, it's varied, it's a lot of footage, so it's, the locations are in different areas, so it makes sense to phase this out rather than bid it out as one complete project. So it's going to happen over multiple years, and the bond resolution is structured that way for not to exceed $100 million to take care of all the phasing that's required. But it's, the interceptors has hydrogen sulfide corrosion, and I believe we presented to you before on that issue. It's concrete pipe that's degrading, and so it needs to be repaired, and we're likely going to be lining it with cured in place pipe.
I do see a question from Commissioner Rahman.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Again, just same question as before with all of these. I know we have one more coming down the pipeline as well. Bonds are all issued with same terms essentially. Standard, they're 30-year and that 4-ish percent's kind of what we're.
Typically, again, that's a not to exceed value, and then when we actually get the numbers coming back, we would size the bond appropriately based on the bid numbers that we get back from the contractor. That's the one unknown typically on a project is how the contractor sees the work, and you know, we come up with a conservative estimate as again a ceiling, and we like to come in obviously lower than that, and typically we do, and as Ben had mentioned, it seems like the market is coming down from the volatility that we had post-COVID. So we fully expect to have good numbers coming back to us.
Good to know. Did you have something, Commissioner Miller?
No, I
Okay.
was just like enjoying him saying that the market's coming down.
Yeah.
Resonates with me in the construction field.
Commissioner
And just
Windler.
follow up on that, this one's 100 million, you're gonna, in phases, you're gonna just draw as needed.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. For the phase that we're working on,
That's
draw that amount of money.
that's in the issuance and so, okay.
Yes. I'm correct on that, right, Eric? We're multiple bond series.
Correct.
Like it, let's start.
All
That
right.
your explanation was exactly correct, Joel. This notice of intent resolution is very similar to other ones that the committee has seen in the recent years. It's consistent with the practice that we were using with the Evergreen Farmington system prior to converting to a drain. The resolution establishes a very high ceiling to cover a significant multi-phase project to be financed over several bond issues potentially. And with each project, with each portion of the project, with each particular financing, we will be back before the committee with formal bond resolutions for each series, which will set the detailed bond terms and other parameters for the financings each time when is needed.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, then we can prompt the vote on item 9E.
Yes.
Yes. They did it, I changed
Yes.
pages.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. That motion carries. Takes us to our next notice of intent, which is item 9F. I'll take a motion to recommend to the board the issue of bonds for improvements to the Huron Rouge sewage disposal system. Moved by Commissioner Miller, supported by Commissioner Long. Gentlemen, anything special, unique?
I can just make one note before Ben starts. We also have our engineer Jen Cook, who's related to this project too. So if there's project specific questions that I can answer, she can.
Good watery morning to you, Jen, and Joe, and the rest of you. Commissioner Rahman, did I see your hand?
No, sorry.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like he's not here.
Yeah, so again, standard, similar to what we just discussed, notice of intent here. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, just that this project is located in the city of Novi. It's about 16,700 feet sewer rehabilitation starting at I-96 and going south to what would be about 9.5 mile road.
It's similar nature to the Clinton Oakland that we just went over as well. Degradation due to hydrogen sulfide, and it's a large, it's a 36-inch diameter interceptor that needs to be repaired.
Yes, understood. Is that a hand up, Mr. Commissioner Miller?
Yeah.
Okay, and then followed by Commissioner Wyper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is this part of the Rouge River connection for the overflow?
It would be the upper end. Eventually, it would go down into the Rouge connection. Yes.
Well, I used to work for Redford Township, and they had their basin there, holds 2 million gallons. They're actually talking about building another one to make sure that room's clean. So I was just curious if this is the same type of thing that you're doing where the water comes in, it gets clean, it's for the overflow.
This we're just transporting.
So this is just, yes, this is rehabilitating the interceptor itself. It's not adding any kind of storage like a CSO does. So it's just rehabbing the interceptor itself.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Wyper.
And when you line these pipes into both these multiple projects, when you line it, what does that increase the lifespan to? And that's,
excuse me, typically most manufacturers are gonna say 50 years at a minimum. Some have even said now 100 years. You know, with the modern technology, no one has actually proved out 100 years yet, right? But there is testing that they go over for temperature cycling and loading, that they extrapolate that information and they say, hey, we can last 50 years or 100 years. You know, so far the products that we put in are holding up to that. We're not seeing significant deteriorations that's would cause us to question that. But we can't put a stamp on it and say absolutely it lasted because we haven't gotten 100 years yet. But that's typically, it's 50 to 100 years, and it can vary specifically by product, but most of them are saying that kind of age range between cured in place pipe or glass polymer reinforced product like Hobos. That's typically what we're being told and that we see. And they're reasonably good products from what we see right now. It's certainly going to outlive the bond life is the intention, which absolutely we need to do, so.
thank you.
Thank you. Anything further on this item? All right, we will go ahead and prompt the vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. That motion carries and infrastructure continues to win. Let's see.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you.
That's the big contingent.
All right, item 9G, Casa del Rey Brownfield Plan located at 111 Oneida in the city of Pontiac. I will entertain a motion to recommend this to the board. Moved by Commissioner Johnson, supported by Commissioner Markham. Had to call that recall back to me. And let's see.
They are on the screen.
Is Mr. Hanson? Oh yeah, great. Good morning. Kristen, I believe, is there. Brad.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so you can hear us, we can hear you. Go for it.
Perfect. Yep. So this is the first of 3 projects that I'm bringing to you today. This is 111 Oneida down in city of Pontiac. Beautiful 1929 historic building that's going to be renovated in order to serve public's need for affordable and attainable housing. All these units will be leased at 120 AMI. It's going to be 50 apartment units, and this is using the new housing TIF that has been established for the Brownfield program. These are our first 3 projects, this one being the first, to utilize the housing TIF. And basically that allows any housing project that's being utilized for obtainable affordable housing to be eligible for Brownfield activities, including rehab costs for a project and demolition, which is what this is for 111.
Okay. That 381 work plan that's mentioned, is that a public document or is that just for like the city of Pontiac? Thank you. It is
Yeah,
public facing.
Yeah, it's a public document. It's the next step in this. Getting through the Oakland County Board of Commissioners approves the plan for local only TIF capture. But the 381 work plan is put together and sent up to MISHDA for their approval for the state school taxes to be captured as part of the housing TIF.
Okay. Commissioner Rahman.
Thank you, Chair. If you could help walk me through this, so I understand TIF, I was going through this packet, at length here. And I just want to understand this total tax capture of 5.583 million, that's basically the total TIF amount, is that correct? Am I reading that correctly?
Correct, but yeah, there's actually a lot more eligible activities. This project's not even going for the missing income that would be eligible as well. It just so happens with brownfield projects, you have 30 years to capture TIF. And so that's the amount of capture that would be captured over a 30-year period. So you can see that they're eligible for a heck of a lot more, but that's the cap that's being forecasted at this point over a 30-year period.
Now, I don't have a frame of reference. So looking at that number, it seems like a pretty substantial number to me. But again, maybe if you can help clarify, because I know they also got 3 million in the Housing Trust Fund, right? That's in addition to the TIF?
Yes.
So if
you look at they have, their brownfield plan lays out $14 million in qualified expenses that can be approved through the housing TIF program. It's part of the packet. It's table. I don't have the appendix, but basically it's $100,000 for building and site demolition, $400,000 for asbestos abatement, $4 million for qualified rehab, and then there's a contingency as well. And then there's the interior rehab, including plumbing, new roof, new windows, etc. That's all eligible activity.
And then my other piece of it too, and maybe this is a question for slightly later. It looks like we have at least a couple of them here that are in Pontiac, a few of them that are all in Pontiac here. I know obviously Pontiac has a need. Is there a particular reason that all of these TIFs were granted to Pontiac out of the gate? Or I just wasn't sure how that came to be.
These are the first three that came in that were ready to go. Actually, there's a fourth in Pontiac that wasn't ready for this meeting, but will probably be next on the agenda. I'm having meetings, I would say, on a daily basis about this new program. It's a learning curve for communities. I think, with our help and consultants help with the city of Pontiac, it's the most obvious location. And some of these projects have been in the pipeline for a while now. This is the last program that made their bottom line make sense to incorporate this. That's maybe why you're seeing these projects come first, but it's eligible for all of Oakland County, all of Michigan for that matter. So you'll probably be seeing in the future projects from different communities.
Okay, and remind me again, how much is there a dollar amount or a cap to this program, or just refresh my memory?
Nope, I mean, it's all depending on the taxes that are generated by new development. So there is no cap, just whatever you capture in a 30-year period. Like I said, this going through the Board of Commissioners in the city of Pontiac will approve it for local only capture, that being the county, the city, ISD, etc. And then the 381 work plan we put together and sent to the state for their approval for the state school taxes. But to answer your question, there is no cap at this point, just what you can capture in the amount of time.
Perfect, thank you. And then last question is just, are there other communities? I know you mentioned you were talking to other communities as well. Aside from Pontiac, is there anything else in the works aside from the four in Pontiac right now, or?
I've had meetings in the last 2 weeks with the Village of Orion, Clawson, Berkeley. That's just right on top of my head. Like I said, I have plenty of meetings throughout the county about this new program.
Okay. And do you need any, in terms of marketing it to all the communities, is that being done across the board throughout Oakland County? Do you need any help from the commissioners? Because I know in my district, there's definitely a lot of brownfield as well. I just wasn't sure what that process is, or if you need us involved in any part of that communication.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm pretty overwhelmed right now with the projects amount coming in. I don't have any active marketing plan for this new program. Like it just got established in the last 8 months and really got official rollout. So the communities are getting aware of it. We actually have a planners gathering meeting about brownfields on the 24th of this month, I believe, which local representative will be up there, which we're going to touch on that, and I'm going to send a link to Mishta where there's an informational session attached to your website, but we'll touch on that at our planners gathering meeting on the 24th.
Perfect, thank you.
Great questions, Commissioner, thank you. Was there anything further on this item? Commissioner Markham.
Yes, Madam Chair. I love this building. I have loved this building for many, many years. I had an aunt who lived there in the 30s and 40s. I still have some of her collection. The thing I like about this is it's very respectful, to the history of the building and its unique beauty. I remember being in there when I was a kid and the terrazzo tile and just everything about it. It's respectful to the building, but it's also respectful to the community. This is gonna be affordable housing, and yet it's really beautiful. I think that shouldn't be ignored, right? As a project going forward, I have a lot of hope for this one because we do have 100-year-old buildings all over the county. That if there's a developer that wants to do something like this and we can help it happen, I really want to see us do that. So I appreciate all the work you're doing. I can't wait till this ribbon cutting happens. It is just, I think, one of the coolest things that you guys are doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I could, I just want to build on that. This is probably the 5th or 6th different developer I've worked on this project. Like I said, the numbers wouldn't work for those other developers without this new program. But the developers on this are doing an outstanding job, turning over every stone and try to make this project work. So we're very excited. It's a beautiful building, as you stated, and we look forward to the finish line.
Thank you for that. I do see Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. I forgot that you really like the virtual one. It's similar. I don't have a similar experience, but it's similar, like optimistic, happy, gratitude comment. I just like, I really like this. And this is the way to work at our housing. There are lots of ways to work at our housing crisis, but this is definitely one of them, is taking especially our older stock buildings and rehabbing them versus trying to do like mid-century office conversions or new builds. This is, you gotta be respectful for what you have, and rehabbing our old housing stock and making it livable again is a really good thing. So I'm just really happy about that.
Indeed. All right, I think we are ready to prompt the vote on this item.
Johnson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you. Hear ye, hear ye. A public hearing on the adoption of the Brownfield Plan approved by the Oakland County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for the 111 Oneida redevelopment in the city of Pontiac shall be held on July 18th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Oakland County Board of Commissioners Auditorium at 1200 North Telegraph Road, Pontiac, Michigan. I couldn't help it.
I love that.
Hear you moment.
Is that mandatory that you say that too? I think it should be.
We're gonna add that to the bylaws.
Yeah, she had lived that.
Our operating. Okay, so motion carries, we had our announcement, and now we can move on to item 9H, which is the Auburn and Beacon Place Brownfield Plan located at 454 Auburn Avenue and 180 J. Hubbard Lane in the city of Pontiac. It's a recommendation to the board. If I could get a motion. Moved by Commissioner Miller, supported by Commissioner Johnson. And Brad and Kristen, give us a little 411 on this and we can get to the vote.
Sure. These next two projects are lighthouse projects. So obviously I'm obviously, I believe you're all aware of the lighthouse and the great work they do. Little bit confusing on the next two project because both of them are have Beacon in the title, but these the Auburn Beacon Place is contiguous parcels. That's why they're in one brownfield plan, and the next one's a separate one because it's not contiguous to these two. But this is a combination of a rehab of the Beacon Place development that's already existing, and the new construction of a 5-story building on Auburn Road for low-income families and obtainable housing and rents. In total, there's going to be 54 units in the new building, with 45 of those being 1-bedrooms, and the existing townhomes, which, oh boy, I don't know if I have that number in front of me, I apologize. I don't, but I'll find that number if you're interested in getting a number of how many units are being rehabbed in the current. Same program as I talked about in the previous project. This is a housing tip. It's gone through the city of Pontiac. Now it's gone through our Oakland County Brownfield Authority, and now it goes to you guys and to the board. Full board. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Just in case I'm the only one, I'm not the only one who is wondering this, who might be watching on YouTube later. How's this different than an abatement? You know, with regard, so TIF, obviously, there's certain entities that are held outside of that capture. I'll call them held harmless, but just high level, if you could speak to that.
Sure. Typically, abatement freezes taxes. In this case, the developer pays the full taxes, so there's nothing frozen if there's no abatement. And keep in mind that you can have abatements along with a brownfield plan, which stretches out the brownfield payback period, just because of the frozen taxes. But this one, basically, the developer will pay the full amount of taxes and just get reimbursed for the eligible activities that they put in.
Love it. All right. Is there any questions on this item? Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, and thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, there's a lot to look through, and I have looked at the pretty renderings and the drawings in the back. Is this a classic 4/1 with retail on the first floor, or is it all 5 stories housing?
I believe it's all 5 stories, but I can confirm and get back with you. I don't recall seeing the rendering where it might have looked different, but I believe it's just all residential.
Okay. For the record, Madam Chair,
sure.
I think mixed use is really great, and if we can encourage retail on the first floor at every opportunity, I think that is always better for the economic impact of every project. Thank you.
I appreciate that. All right, anything further? Seeing no other comments on this item, we can prompt the vote. 9H.
Yes.
Markham.
Yes.
Yes, 7 yeas, 0 nays.
That motion carries. Terrific, thank you. Oh, yes. Hear you all. A public hearing on the adoption of the Brownfield Plan approved by the Oakland County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for the Auburn Beacon redevelopment in the city of Pontiac shall be held on July 18th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Oakland County Board of Commissioners Auditorium, 1200 North Telegraph Road, Pontiac, Michigan. I just want to, because I know it's throwing me off, that Auburn.Beacon, is that how you guys expect it to look?
It's for the purpose of the brownfield plan. I don't know what the official title it is once the 2 projects are complete, but it just
okay, I got it. Yes, that makes sense. Kind of like coding. All right, let's go to 9I, which is Beacon Square Brownfield Plan located at 101 Mechanic Street in the city of Pontiac. And this is a recommendation to the board. If I could get a motion. Moved by Commissioner Miller, supported by Commissioner Johnson. Thank you. All right, here we are at our next Brownfield Plan. If you have some additional details we could chew on?
So this is the existing building that was actually constructed in 1931. So you can see by the age of building. I don't know when the last renovation was done, but this will be qualified rehab of the building, which services low-income families. This is a total of 28 units that will be rehabbed, including new roof, windows, HVAC, etc. So in total, the reimbursement to the developer over a set number of years will be $1.23 million for the qualified rehab eligible activities.
Okay. Just making sure I didn't miss something. Any questions on this item? I don't see any currently, and therefore we can go ahead and prompt the vote.
You have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, that motion carries. And I believe that's it for the two of you, so thank you so much. Oh, before that. Hear ye.
I'm gonna say your mind for you this
A public hearing on the adoption of the Brownfield Plan approved by the Oakland County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for the Beacon Square redevelopment in the city of Pontiac shall be held on July 18th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Oakland County Board of Commissioners Auditorium at 1200 North Telegraph Road, Pontiac, Michigan. I want to say a special thank you to Amy Aubrey for keeping us on top of everything. All right, so with that, keep up the good work, folks, and we'll move on to item 9J.
Thank you.
If I know my alphabet.
Thank you.
Yes. Motion to recommend to the board interlocal agreement and grant awards for the Main Street Oakland County Placemaking and Public Spaces Program. Commissioner Johnson moves, Commissioner Wyford supports.
Morning.
If you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves, just no copy today.
Sure. I'm John Bryan, the program coordinator for the Main Street Oakland County program.
Thank you.
Monica Norris, I'm the assistant coordinator for the Main Street program as well.
Wonderful. And we have for us an interlocal agreement and grant award. So share what we should know.
So we're pretty excited about this project. In December, the Board of Commissioners approved $5 million of American Rescue Plan funding to develop a public spaces and placemaking public spaces program for the Main Street Oakland County communities. During COVID, a lot of the communities experienced lack of gathering space and a lot of cancellation of events, and so that had a negative impact on people coming into those various neighborhood commercial districts and downtowns. We've worked with the communities, we reached out to them, and these 14 communities that are listed in the summary have provided the information required for the projects to move forward, and there's some pretty cool ones that have actually they've been chasing for a while, and this is making it happen. Down at the bottom, you can see the total budget of those 14 projects is over $14 million, with 4.6 roughly being allocated from the ARP allocation of the $5 million, and the local communities contributing over $9.6 million towards the project through funding of their own or funding that they have secured and raised through other fundraising means and grants to contribute to their projects. And you can see in the back of the summary is a breakdown a little bit of each one of those 14 projects and what they're doing exactly, and the breakdown in terms of the budget of what they're contributing and what's being contributed through the ARPA program.
Great. I do see a hand. Commissioner Rahman, followed by Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is great. I've been to several of these sessions and I love what we're doing and how we're helping these communities. One question I had for you, the county ARPA funds, so it says percent of total development costs, this is in Schedule B. If you could just speak to the percentages, because it looks like it's pretty steady, right around 40%, hovers right around 40% for most of them.
Yeah.
There are at least a couple of outliers, and I just wanted to get some clarification on that, namely because my city is one of them. And I just wanted to make sure I understood if they have any questions for me on why there's some deviation, between the different projects.
Yeah, this was all submitted from the local communities and they knew the parameters that we were looking to supply up to 40%. So based on their local commitments or funding in terms of the equations that we were using with the 40%, that's what they came back to us with.
So that's all they were looking for. So in this case, for Wixom, 17% is all they wanted. to
Yes,
meet.
because the vast majority of their project ended up being funded through a federal appropriation.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I had that right.
Yeah.
And I think there was another one at 20 was bear with me 1 second here. I think it was Rochester was the other one I was looking at.
And that's just a really expensive project.
Yes, it's a very expensive project and they scaled back their scope and such and changed some things around in order to fit, but that's where they felt comfortable being in terms of their request as well. Yeah.
Appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Miller?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate what you all do, and I can tell you in my town, Farmington, with these grants and this partnership, we've seen the community come together and put together their own money, right? As you know, to do this corner that we're looking at. It's been talked about for years, and over the time, the help through the county and the Main Street, it's placemaking, it's just been awesome. I just gotta say, our community is thriving and there's just new stuff all the time and bringing new people, and so I appreciate what y'all do. I just wanted to say that. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Commissioner, this is Farmington proper, not Farmington Hills. You know,
Correct.
we just had that wonderful yesterday, Gwen, CZC, where we learned a little bit. I certainly learned a lot about Farmington Hills and Farmington and all of the connective tissue there. So happy that the little nucleus called Farmington is doing what they've got to do to survive. So
But they're family though.
Yes.
Ride together.
I'm glad to hear it. Anything further on this item? Commissioner Johnson, if your hand's there, I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, I mean, like, so my neck of the woods is very similar to the Farmington Hills, which is very similar to Birmingham Bloomfield Hills and all of ours, right? Like Oakland County's greatest strength, in my opinion, is its constellation of downtowns. I get that a lot of us live in the hills that were created around the downtowns. It used to be townships of different or similar names, but it's the downtowns that really matter. They are the lifeblood of our community. Those are the things that are connected. So for me in my little corner with the Rochester project, I mean, y'all, I can't tell you how many phone calls I've taken about this project. They have scaled it back.
Yeah.
The original plan was to build a house for the purpose of having a house to look at and getting rid of a very steep hill to shove a house into the earth. It was a weird plan, but cool. We like to do cool, weird, expensive things. But it'll be great. It's a great farmer's market. I'm excited about that one. I'm excited about all of them. And this is just, I think, a really great bang for our buck with placemaking in the parts of our county that matter the most.
Anything further on this item? All right. Art for Dollars, still hard at work. Let us prompt the vote.
A whole house is to be the backdrop for a farmer's market.
Inside of a hill?
Markham,
Yes.
you have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, that motion carries.
Steep, so they
Thank you
have
for
to
your
chop
work.
off
Keep
the
it up.
walls and then a fake house to go into the hill to be like the backdrop for a stage and also storage, but it's a whole house that they were gonna just shut.
That takes us to 9K, which is the main jail complex fencing and gate project. Let's see, I see a few familiar faces coming over. This is a recommend and forward to finance. If I could get a motion on 9K. Moved by Whiteford, supported by Brahman. Ms. Atkins? Is that your last name?
Rates.
Oh, okay. I was looking at created by Ms. Rates. Go ahead, Mr. Waymer and Deputy, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourselves again.
I'm Larry Perry with the Sheriff's Office. I'm the major in charge of the main jail complex.
Thank you.
I'm Misty Rates, Manager of Facilities Planning and Engineering. Most recently, my focus for work has been managing the CIP.
I'm Jason Warner, I'm Manager with Facilities Management.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so we have a jail complex fencing and gate project in front of us.
Yes, yeah. This project includes security fencing and gates that go along the perimeter of the jail site, as well as Annex 2. There's also some minor site modifications to accommodate some new drive and some drive modifications. This project currently is 3.4 million. The project's planned in the CIP and funding is available in the CIP for transfer.
Great. Yes, Commissioner.
I just have so it's just replacing the old fence or adding more fence?
It's adding a fence.
Adding more
And
fence.
it'll be the same fence that is around Children's Village.
That's already
and-
there?
Yeah,
Okay, like that?
yeah.
Okay, so you're adding more fences for safety and security, right? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Rahman followed by Commissioner Wyper.
Actually, same question as Commissioner Warren, so.
Okay, Commissioner Wyper.
And this one was part of the more security plan that we had for 10, 15 years. This was always in the plans. Now we're just getting to it.
Correct.
Yes.
And we, yes, Commissioner Miller.
Put it up there, I don't know if it shot over to you.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to.
No, it's
Sorry,
not
that's all
showing.
right, that's all right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
No worries.
First, I have to say, my heart goes out to you for Brother Brad. He was actually an operating engineer before he was a sheriff.
Yeah.
So, yes, I wanna say that first. And second, I always ask this question, this is going to the purchasing policy with our responsibility. I know it's yes, but I just always have to ask that.
Correct, yes, yep.
Thank you, and I was gonna say a question about the fence, it was the same as Children's Village. Thank you.
Similar to the same fence as 49 West as well.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Well, based on conversations that Phil and I had with you all and the idea of keeping staff safe as different individuals are transitioning from one spot to the other, you know, everyone's safety is important to us. So we're at least working towards that on this end. And I don't see anything further, so we can go ahead and prompt the vote.
Oh, sounds good.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. So that takes us then to item 9J, which is facilities planning and, I'm sorry, did I skip something?
No, you're good.
Oh, yes, thank you. You're right. The letters are different.
Yeah.
L,
Yeah, I don't
roof
have
restraint
glasses on.
safety system project. That's a recommendation and forward to finance. If I could get a motion, please. Moved by Long, supported by Miller. And we have some familiarity with roof restraints on this committee, but if you have some additional insights you want to share with us?
Yeah, the roof restraint railing system, it's gonna be a railing system, is planned for Public Works facility. There's multiple elevations at that building, roof elevations, so this project also includes the safety gates at those various roof elevations along with the appropriate railings to accommodate for those different heights. So this as well is planned in the CIP and funding is available to be transferred and we're looking at a little over $197,000 for this project. We're also connecting it into the current lightning protection system that is existing out there at that facility.
Wonderful. I want to start with you, Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First thing is, so the railing putting up, do they still have to wear fall protection with the railing that's gonna be constructed?
The great thing about the railing is that it eliminates a lot of the harness system and
Right,
everything else that
yeah.
comes with a cable fall
Yeah, I'm
protection
very
system,
familiar with
yes,
that, being from the
yeah.
construction field, so it's actually probably safer to work with the railing than with the fall system because it gets in the way with tools and.
We looked at both options.
Yeah.
And because of the areas where our maintenance staff go and the equipment and the placement of it, it actually makes a little more sense. to
Yeah, it
do the
saves
railing.
time.
Saves time,
and
less
material,
roof
yes.
penetrations.
Yeah, thank you.
Your other question?
That was it.
Okay.
Oh, I know he's gonna say yes, so I'm.
Okay. Commissioner Rahman?
Thank you.
Yes.
I know we've talked about this before, this committee has addressed this issue before, I think for a different location. One thing that I noted here in the packet, it says, just make sure I have this right. Work with risk management, the goal is to have fall protection systems on all roofs to ensure OSHA compliance and safety of workers, which I guess makes sense. Is this something that we budgeted for, I guess, moving forward for all of the other projects we're potentially looking to do? And I don't know how many there are or how many roofs are still in need of this.
how does that fall in budget-wise? Have you contemplated that? And then secondarily, with our move, to downtown Pontiac, is that also in consideration of exactly where we're doing this and how much we're spending?
Yeah, so we've worked with our maintenance department and we've prioritized the buildings and we're allocating funding when it's available, as it's available within the capital plan on a yearly basis. And we prioritize the buildings based on how much equipment is up there and the frequency of workers on those roofs. So those ones became the highest priority. And then also as we re-roof buildings, we're automatically adding those systems in. So we factored that into, whereas if we're planning a roof for a year or two out, then that's automatically gonna be put in there too. So, but we do have the plan for all the buildings. We have a portable system as well. So buildings that don't have a permanent system right now, we can put that system up there so workers can work up there safely. It's just a little bit more time consuming to have that transported there and put in place.
Do you know about how many buildings we're looking at in addition to kind of what's already in discussion here, or?
Not offhand, but we're probably in the 20 to 25 range, if I'd have to say right now.
So presumably, if it's an order of priority, I mean, this is a long-term project, this isn't gonna be done in the next few years, this is gonna be
correct
some ways out.
If I can, because I know you had another question in there about the impact of the move to downtown Pontiac. So the buildings that we're planning on vacating would be at the very bottom, or not even on the list, so.
Thank you.
Commissioner Miller?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just for reference for the committee, this is actually, it helps the liability of the county too. So if there's a contractor that goes up there, they don't have to worry about that liability of them falling off the roof or what have you. So it's actually good forward planning.
Excellent. Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is probably an unfair question, but I was intrigued by something that Commissioner Rahman said. How many employees work in this building? That's the question.
Oh.
How many employees are in the courthouse?
No, in 95 West.
Oh, 95 West.
Unfair because I don't expect you to know it off the top of your head, but.
Yeah, so WRC, they occupy the entire second floor. Facilities management occupies most of the first floor, so there's probably in the area of 200 to 300 people.
Okay, cool, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, I see no other questions raised, so we can go ahead and prompt the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
You have 7 yeas and 0 nays.
Thank you. That motion carries. That takes us then to item 9M, which is Facilities Planning and Engineering Jail Clinic HVAC System Replacement Project. This is a recommended forward to finance, and I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Rahman, supported by Commissioner Long. All right, so this was quite interesting rationale behind this, so let's hear it for the good and order.
Currently, the clinic shares a mechanical and ductwork system with other areas of the jail. So this project will be able to isolate the clinic by providing its own heating and cooling unit, as well as associated ductwork and controls and any ceiling modifications to be able to accommodate. Yes, so instead of have a blended air with the clinic and the other areas of the jail, this will now isolate the air specifically for the clinic.
Not a good idea.
So this project project costs $1.3 million, also planned in the CIP and funds available for transfer.
All right, I see Commissioner Rahman followed by Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Just, can you clarify the clinic? I just wanna make sure I understand. I like the project and it makes sense to me, but I just wanna understand where the clinic is in relation to the rest of the jail. Is that sort of staff or employee section, or I guess what is the clinic?
Yeah, so, and I might rely on some of my colleagues online too, but the clinic offers nurse kind of stations as well as nurse exam rooms as well, general reception, check-in area. But it's very contained in a perimeter area of a section of the building, which is very nice. It's a nice, I think, rectangle shape, so it lends itself well to being able to isolate and have its own mechanical system. But it offers those health services to the inmates.
Got it.
It's very interior,
Bound, yes.
Yeah.
like in the middle.
Yeah, it's pretty much centrally located within the main jail area. And there's also segregated housing for people that might be positive with some kind of infectious, like when we had COVID, we have segregated housing in there for them, so that we can isolate them and take them out of general population.
But the isolation rooms were gonna be separate from this, right? Or are you saying the isolation rooms are part of this new project?
They're part of the clinic in the same area,
Okay.
but we also have we have over 100 inmates on a day in the afternoon shift. They're brought down to the clinic to have tests done, blood sugars checked,
Sure.
all those types of things. So the segregated housing is away from where they would be brought in and held, whether they're for their treatment.
But the isolation units would still be part of this HVAC system?
Yes.
They would.
Correct.
Is that problematic at all or no? No. Okay. Because I would think for all the reasons we're trying to separate off the clinic, we're sort of still not accomplishing the goal with the isolation units and COVID and things like that. They're still sharing the same system, right? Or maybe I'm not understanding it.
Yeah, the ultimate goal was to take the clinic area and be able to isolate that from the kind of the main jail cells.
Right.
Now, as far as compartmentalizing areas within the clinic, that was not my understanding of what the rule was or what the was.
Good food for thought there.
Oh, you think like that.
Doctor.
I do wanna mention too that it'll be a different filtration system as well
For the isolation.
for the clinic, yes,
That's probably what you're asking.
For the clinic.
for the clinic.
Right, and I guess I get all that, but just strictly from a medical standpoint, I mean, if you're trying to separate, I mean, I would think that you're still gonna have a risk with the isolation rooms, right?
There could be that.
What is that?
Do we have a separate filtration system for those rooms?
I don't know that answer.
Yeah, I know what he was going.
We can look
Look
into
into
that, yes,
Yes.
yeah, I see what you're saying, if a well person's coming in for a blood sugar
Right.
check and there's an ill person in the isolation room, are they sharing that?
100%.
TB, you got
Because I would think again, for the same reason you're trying to separate this off, we're still not really accomplishing the goal
I get where
fully
he's going.
by keeping all of that under one circuit.
I don't know if
It should be at least a separate filter.
Yeah, the project manager is.
They were on the camera for a moment.
Steve and Joe were on.
Steve, if you're able to hear us. There was an inquiry regarding more isolation of the actual isolated portions of the clinic in terms of that HVAC, if you can speak to that at all?
Yeah, the intention is based on zones. So the main clinic area where the nurses are, be on a different zone than where the ward cells are.
Are you guys able to hear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something about a different
But I
zone,
don't think that we addressed the question, right? I mean, I understand that he's,
saying zones, right?
Right.
But
Right. Is
think
it
you're-
possible, as it stands now, that there could be compartmentalizing in those isolated areas if someone has a respiratory something happening
it's all airborne.
versus I just came to get some blood work, now I'm breathing in the same air. Is there any thought into making it more isolated in this phase?
right, exactly.
Yes, it is isolated into zones, but each individual cell is not isolated from outside that zone. So for example, the clinic itself where the nurse station
It needs
is
to be
set
filtered
up,
different.
where healthy people would come in is on its own zone.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that clarity. I believe between you and Jason and Ed and, you know, all of these brilliant minds, you've heard us. If there's anything that we can do to help support that, you know, we'll entertain it. But definitely if it's something that can be easily implemented versus overlooked for the next, you know, for COVID 25 or whatever. Oh, not 25, did I say that? Shame on me. Anywho, I think Commissioner Johnson was next.
So originally I was going to make sure that I was picking up what you were putting down, that this was a epidemiological preventative measure. But I believe the last comment reassured me in that sense. So I guess my question is, not to pigeonhole my colleague, but were there other medical professionals who were consulted in the planning phase of this?
I'm gonna kick that to Steve.
Our mechanical engineers, their firm does a lot of medical work. So we didn't specifically consult a doctor or a nurse, but they have plenty of experience to understand how to consult things in isolate areas, et cetera.
Okay, I appreciate that. I guess, I really want things done right the first time, lest we have to go back and do them again. So I guess
Make sure it's done right, have a mental health consultant.
Right. I just don't want to have to come back and change anything. So, I don't really, I guess I don't have another question. I'm gonna let you talk more, but whatever, don't mean to.
Perhaps one thing that could be helpful to know is that this project is not starting right away because of the hotness of the summertime. Missy, correct me if I'm wrong. So there's a little runway. Perhaps you tell us, is this something that you need something made happen today versus on the 24th when we're right back here at this table, where we could perhaps consult with someone, and I don't mean extra expenditures. This firm that you're talking about, they should probably have someone MD level, perhaps. But that would certainly make us peace of mind a little bit better. I'm gonna throw it to Commissioner Miller for more commissioner insight.
Yeah, just a couple of things coming, my other background's HVAC, I represent, so there can be filtration systems added. This also, this program here goes to our whole like energy efficient, right? Because if there's nobody in those cells, they can shut that area off where you're not like heating or cooling that area, so it actually helps that way. And just from my professional knowledge is you can add that, it's not like a huge lift and the system's already there. Unless there's something brand new that I don't know, but they also can do it like the engineer can change in an instant from a computer of a cell, like, well, we got somebody in this one now. Can you change the heat so it's not like a huge, we have to wait till tomorrow to put them in there or her in there because of, we don't have the system up. So it's actually, the system is really good, high end, and I believe it'll last like 30 or 40 years. I mean, technology always changes. So as soon as you buy it, like it's like a cell phone, right? It's already obsolete. But, and then the companies that are in here, Limbach is a really good company that's well-known, that does a lot, like Johnson & Johnson, or Johnson Controls, I should say. So I think it's a great project.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Rahman.
Thank you. Just so to your point, is it worth adding a note or footnote that it's either a conditional approval, or is it worth kicking it down the road 2 weeks to get some more information on filtration? If it is in a hurry, I mean, I think we're all in agreement that this is a plan that makes sense, we probably want to move forward with. I just don't know if it's worth putting that addendum in now or later, however that would make sense.
Or has a proper filtration.
Thank you for Madam Chair. I also want to add is, I'm not saying things will change, but you made the comment, we're not doing this right now because of the weather. If we do it in time when we need it with the weather, it's gonna be more expensive, right? And we might not have, if we tell these contractors, we're redoing this, they rebid, we might not get the same contractors, they might bid on other work, so we also have to be conscious of that. We might wanna, if you wanna do like an amendment, is that this board, approves a filtration system added on that would come back for the dollar amount approval, but to continue with this project going forward. I think that would be the best bet, so we're not slowing the project down. Especially the way work is, there's a lot of work out there right now, we don't wanna, like, close it, put it out back for RFP, and then we don't get it till a couple years down the road, cause we're still waiting for the contractors.
Right. And I'm not looking to derail the project. I just wanna say if we can keep it moving, I'm all for keeping it moving.
do it right the
I just
first
like to
time.
see, to Commissioner Johnson's point, this done right the first time. I don't wanna get the whole project done and then 3 years from now be like, oh, we should have, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, I like the idea of an amendment where, as long as you don't think, well, I know like we're the purse, so technically we're instructing you, but we don't like to make it harder for you to do your job. Ed, I saw you got to the table, were there some thoughts you had?
Just two thoughts. So one, if I heard Steve correctly, so your point's a very good one. Steve explained the actual clinic area and the isolation rooms are two separate zones, so they can be controlled separately. But like Steve said, you can't control each of the isolation rooms separately. But the clinic area and that and the isolation rooms are on two separate zones.
Okay.
Now, one thing that we would need to confirm, I can't say for sure, but this was an issue during COVID, and when we were looking at all of our HVAC systems and how we needed to separate them and provide filtration in that, we were consulting with our health department that has professionals with, but again, I can't say for sure certain, but I know that in almost every case, we were consulting with them with what we needed to do.
Well, that's good.
The having various zones also allows the air to be exhausted separately from those various zones as well. So as far as a patient that could have infectious disease, that airflow is exhausting directly out and not blending in with the other zones or other areas.
Okay, I was consulting with these brilliant staff minds here, and so if not any objection, we could still move forward and vote on this and ask that by full board, because it would probably be unlikely that by finance some of this could be answered, but by full board, and then if at that time an amendment could be made.
If it's necessary. It might not be necessary, sounds like.
Can I add an additional comment?
Sure.
So it's multiple zones, I believe there's 4 in total. And the way the cells are, the HVAC work is that it's the air is exhausted out from the cells and the air is coming in from the healthy supply. So it's not as if each one of the cells are sharing air as is the case right now. All of the cells would be exhausted out. And then we have the proper air exchanges to bring the fresh air in to each zone and possibly feed those cells. That makes sense.
So that's a very important point, right? It's a fresh air exchange, Commissioner, it's a fresh air exchange, so it's not like maybe at home with older homes where the air intakes are simply going back into, say, the furnace and being filtered and then being used to either, heat or cool and be pushed back in. It's, as Steve said, the air returns are grabbing that stale air, pushing it to the outside, and then fresh air is being brought from the outside to feed each of the areas.
Yeah, sounds like.
It's a fresh air exchange system, yes.
Okay. All right, well, I'll go ahead and have us prompt the vote.
Yeah.
It's okay. And Miller,
Yes.
you have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Excellent, that motion carries.
Zone here to shut the air
And
off.
Ed and Jason and Missy, I'm gonna get that name embedded here. Just keep us in the loop as things are coming, the folks to contact and good luck with that. And is there anything else?
Thank you.
No, I think that's all for you all. Thank you.
Here, I want a different zone.
It's always the item I never think is going to have a long discussion.
I know.
All right, let's go to item 9N, which is the Pontiac redevelopment project owners rep contract, architect, engineer, and urban planning contract and community engagement contract. That's a motion to recommend to board. Commissioner Johnson, I see your hand to move it. Could I get a support? Commissioner Markham supports. Welcome, Sean. I'm liking that blue.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair.
Doing something for you.
So I am here under the banner of operational efficiency. So and to Commissioner Johnson's earlier comment about wanting to get it right, the first time, as you were talking on that previous topic, this is exactly why I'm here. We passed a couple of resolutions earlier that spoke to the Pontiac project as it related to the Farman Group, the owner's rep, also the community engagement contract, as well as the HED contract. There was language in there from the original that said, be it further resolved that any contract extensions or amendments to the original contract will require approval of the Board of Commissioners. And so the new language is saying that notwithstanding any other previous Board of Commissioners resolution, any contract extension or amendment to increase the contract not to exceed amount of the original contracts or any material changes to the original scope of services with the Farman Group, HED, and AECOM. We want to be compliant with the board. We believe that this is not aligned with policies and procedures as we do construction projects, as we do H&E projects, as we do construction management. We issue work orders. In the federal government, we would call these delivery orders. Here in Oakland County, and we're looking at this from a policy change, is not to call them amendments because you passed a contract, which I would call an umbrella contract for $3.2 million for HED. There is levels of effort under that contract and we will issue work orders against that. If at any point in time we're gonna exceed that amount or need to do a contract extension, we will certainly come back to the board because we need that approval. But we need the efficiency to continue to move forward. Anything that's outside of the scope of what you approved as well, even if it doesn't approach the not to exceed, we would be back here in front of you as well. But the way that that language was drafted, now there was contemplation internally that said, hey, I think that was just a mistake. Here's what our policies and procedures and past practices. But we want to get it right, and we want to make sure that we are aligned in understanding with this branch of government and the executive branch of government on how we go forward. So that is why you have this resolution in front of you.
Right. Mr. Miller, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Have we picked who's gonna do the construction contract yet?
The construction services contract, we're meeting with our evaluation committee tomorrow to select those. We received 12 bids that came in. And the development RFP is out on the street right now, and proposals are due back on July 30th. Right now, what's in front of you is related to the Farben Group, HED, and Sidewalk Detroit.
Right. Commissioner Long, did you have some?
Well, I was just, so only if it exceeds the dollar amount will come back to the Board of Commissioners? Is that what this resolution is doing? So
or material change.
Okay. And before it was coming back to the board for everything?
Any amendment that takes place, and that is not that is not the intention.
Okay.
Nor has it been the practice in the past.
Okay. See, so I'm
Commissioner
right,
Johnson?
took it the other way.
Respectfully, it also hasn't been the practice in the past to relocate a massive headquarters. I guess has this been an inordinate inconvenience? And has something prompted the change?
It will be.
It will be.
Yeah, I mean, there are various projects with the A&E that will be issued along the way, all falling under the parameter of what they bid on in the proposal, and is also included in the price work. But if there's any material change to suggest something else outside of Pontiac would somehow fall under this contract, that would be what I would consider a material change, or any contract amendment or delivery order that would exceed the 3.2 million would have to come back as well. So it's keeping in the spirit, but having to come back here and get on the schedules and all of that will slow this project down. And it's important for us to understand that right now, because I gotta communicate to the city of Pontiac that we wouldn't be looking to move in the fall of 27, we're gonna have to move that back to 28 or 29. If we're gonna have to come back in front of the board for everything.
I have a follow-up, but I'm good for right now.
Okay.
Unless you're, whatever.
We'll come back to you then. Commissioner Miller followed by Commissioner Rahman.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. So does this allow these contractors to have subcontractors that would supersede our purchasing policies or responsibilities?
No, that would, I mean, they're not gonna supersede. But there will be, and that's not what's in front of us today, so I'll answer no to your question.
Okay.
But as we have the construction management services come to us, there'll be work for HVAC, there'll be work for flooring, there'll be work for windows, there'll be work for various components. Those will all be bid out, competitively bid and reviewed by our team to make sure that they are within the estimates that have been put together for that project. And we will issue delivery orders. We're gonna start to call these delivery orders because I think that there's confusion with amendments as we move forward.
Well, that's what I'm, so is that what this does? Instead of coming to the Board of Commissioners for those contracts, it just goes to the team and then if you guys vote on it?
This only pertains to the owner's rep, A&E, and community engagement.
So that's it? Yeah, but so
That's
if
it.
they have a subcontract to do some work, like does that supersede our purchasing policy?
No, I
So-
mean, that's, as long as it's within the parameters of the scope of the services that they bid on, that would be totally appropriate for for them to hire a subcontractor, and the expectation, quite honestly.
Well, no, I understand that, but I know like our purchasing policy, subcontractors are included in there. So I just wanna make sure, so if say, we'll say Fardman bids on a contract, and does that, are we like giving them full reign to do whatever they want? They don't have, the subcontractors don't have to follow our purchasing
No,
policy?
no.
That's what I'm asking, just
No.
making sure.
All
clear that up.
subcontractors would fall under the contract that's outlined, and all the clauses that pertain to the prime contract would extend to the
All right.
subcontract.
Thank you.
Yep. Good question, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Rahman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sean, thank you. I just wanna make sure I'm understanding. So if we've approved a certain dollar amount as an umbrella, right, for this entire project, are you saying that for the different buckets under that umbrella, we can basically move money from a bucket to a different bucket without necessarily, I just wanna make sure that I'm on the same page with what you're saying, cause I'm not fully understanding what we're trying to accomplish and why this is so different than what we've done before, or at least what was previously approved in the resolution.
Yeah, so I think what was done before was exactly what I'm asking us to go. You know, it has been the common practice and the practice that once we get an approval for a contract,
Right.
That any amendments that could take place, they could be $0, they could just be administrative modifications to the contract as well. We could deobligate certain amount of scope that was originally in there. But if there's an enhancement of a scope, which would constitute a material change from what was brought in front of the board, then we need to come back to the board and make the case for the merits for that change to take place, and then you need to vote for it, yes or no, regardless of whether it exceeds the amount or not.
And if money is changing or dollar amounts are changing, all of that would come back to us anyway, right?
If the dollar amount exceeds the 3.2 or any one of these contracts. This resolution pertains to the 3 contracts that we issued on this project at this time.
All right.
Can I invite Joss,
Sure,
facilities manager, to give a few examples as
Yeah,
it relates to A&E?
Yeah, just a couple of things, and Commissioner Miller, I know you live in this world, so you'll understand, but if, for instance, we originally say we want all blue carpet on the 5th floor, and then we need to change it to gray carpet, gray flooring, that's a change, right? And the contractors need to get that information, and the construction documents and specifications have to be updated to reflect that. So there may be no cost change in there at all, but a project this size and in this length, there will be nonstop what we refer to as amendments, and we've never done a project where we've had to come back and get approval for those, right? And there may be some where, you know, maybe the gray flooring is $5,000 more than the blue flooring was, but we also carry contingencies, which are included in the amount that was approved by the board, right? There might be other cases too where we have to do value engineering, right? That's gonna happen, where we go out to bid, we get the bids back, and the estimates are exceeding our budget, right? So now we have to ask the contractors and the architects and engineers to re-engineer that in a way that will bring the cost down. Again, not exceeding the budget, but that is a change to the original scope of their contract. And so, again, for a project like this, I mean, we would have to come back here every 2 weeks, and we would have a long list of these things. So, you know, to Sean's point, I think the original intent was no one wanted us to exceed the amount that was approved.
That was super helpful. Yes, thank you.
Well, we're at the point where we're gonna call for the vote. I just wanna include the fact that there will be opportunity to discuss this in caucuses. And Chairman will get a chance to share with you all his take on this. From my understanding, Sean and the chairman have discussed this.
That's correct. The language reflects an agreement between both the chairman and the county executive's office.
So with that, we'll go ahead and prompt the vote, knowing that there will be more opportunity if need be to even make this on the regular versus consent.
You have 5 yeas, 2 nays.
Is that everybody?
Yeah, there's 7.
Okay. Okay, can I know who the two noes are, please?
Commissioners Johnson.
Thank you. Just
Bipartisan knows.
Yeah.
I like bipartisan noes.
No offense, I just do wanna micromanage this project.
Personally. The color of the carpet.
Yeah, I don't know.
I care about the color of the carpet.
I don't know if mine, I just have to
You're good
think
to
about
go. Thank you, Ed, for coming over. Thanks, John. I love that answer. So honest.
this out, 'cause no.
I believe that takes us to our second public comment. Yes. So if there's anyone here who'd like to address this committee, we're here to listen for 3 minutes. Any topic that you may have under the sun. I don't see anyone coming to the front, so we'll go ahead and close the second public comment. Is there any other business to come before this body? Yes,
Just a
Mr.
quick comment, I'm really impressed. I saw this agenda when we were going through it and figured we'd be here till noon to run through this. So kudos to you for running this meeting.
Yeah, and shout out to Brendan for being here to kick it off. And an honorary mention to Aaron, who, you know, is the wind beneath all our wings.
Yes.
So we appreciate you very much. And with that, I will close.
That means you gotta buy him lunch, right?